Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode.
Welcome to another phenomenal episode of My Momma Told Me, Little Mamas and Gentiles alike.
The podcast where we dive deep into the pockets of black conspiracy theories.
And we finally work to prove the conspiracies of you, the listener. It's a motherfucking mini episode.
Yeah. We got an email. From a person who, did they ask us to say their name? Yes. Okay. Chris sent us an email, and it's a provocative subject line, one that I don't think we've ever discussed this specific person together on the podcast. So this is exciting. And I also have never heard the additional information attached to this, but I'm very excited. The subject line said Barney Hill abduction was a government operation due to his involvement with civil rights. Let's go. Yeah, that's hot shit right off the presses.
Do I know who Barney Hill is? I have a feeling this email is going to give me context clues.
Okay, fuck yeah. That's all I was curious about.
I'm going to have you read it while Wikipedia that shit.
Okay, he says, hello, Langston and David. Apologies. I am indeed yet another white devil who listens to your show. That's okay, Chris, especially if you're coming with hot shit. As a fan of both your comedic work previously, I've been listening as a proud little mama since day one. That's fucking awesome. I'm also, apologies again, American. Another white dude. Apologies again, America. Another white dude who is fascinated by conspiracies. In that capacity, I've several times come across the theory that Barney Hill, abduction, it's referring to the Hill abduction refers to both Barney Hill and his wife, whose name I don't remember, but
Betty.
They were both Betty. They were apparently the first abduction in America, and it is worth noting that Barney was a black man, Betty was a white woman. And the Hill abduction was a part of the government operation that targeted Barney Hill due to his involvement in civil rights. Weird psyops were a thing in the alphabet agencies at the time, MK Ultra, Operation Midnight Climax, etc., as was fucking with people involved in civil rights. And I've heard the argument that it was a test run for future abductions, covering up nefarious anti-organizational activities or whatever. Anyway, would be curious to hear your thoughts on it if it's of any interest to you. Love the Pascagoula UFO episode and the Bobby Hemmett episode. Funny and smart as fuck. Please keep up the excellent work, Chris.
See, now I don't want to like you, Chris. But
okay.
But I filter it through my brain. You're a big fan. You seem to be very respectful. You came with a good idea. Now I'm back to neutral. That's all I gotta do.
Yeah, that's all you got to do, yo.
Also noted, Betty and Barney Hill, I just want it said, black man, white wife, black dog.
What does that do for you? What does that provide as it relates to their family?
Maybe she wanted a white one, and he was like, no.
Hey, Betty?
No, because in the picture, if you look at the Wikipedia, she's holding the dog.
No, she's holding that dog.
Proud.
Mm-hmm.
No babies, but she got that dog.
What's that, a Dachshund? That was a little wiener dog?
Yeah, I think a little wiener dog.
No, she picked that dog, my man.
No, you don't have a dog, huh?
I don't have a dog, but I ain't never seen no black man in the fucking 50s pick a wiener dog.
Hey, my girl's got a black poodle.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of attention on the street. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Every time I go out, some guy wants to be like, oh, yeah, mirror dog.
You just got to stand in the back, slamming your knuckle into your fist.
No, I wish it was that. I end up being nice, and it's always people I don't. It's like old white women who are like, oh, you're so beautiful.
Oh, it's just slowing up your day. It's just,
yeah, and it's people. It's never people I want to talk to. Nobody who's gonna stop to talk about your dog is probably somebody you want to talk to.
That's true. Yeah, not in a sincere way. If you're like, yo, what's your dog's name? How old is your dog? That's one thing. But like, it's more in passing. It shouldn't be like, oh, what do you feed her? It's
Yeah,
like,
that's what it is.
That's a nightmare. That's
Does
what are you
she do
talking
this?
about?
Mine does that.
I will say, and I do blame some of it just on LA culture, but there is a tendency with dog owners, specifically in LA, to presume that I have any interest in their dog. And that feels very specific to, and I could be wrong, but like they'll be walking their dog and I'm just walking and they'll be like, he likes you. And it's like,
oh, that shit does not happen to me.
oh, I don't give a fuck.
Now, I wonder this might be a color thing.
I could see that.
That's never happened to me once in life.
Yeah.
People, in fact, I've actively seen people dislike it if their dog likes it.
Whoa.
Also, I've seen a lot more of a dog not liking me random on the street, which Maggie May told me, shout out to Maggie May, also dark skin. She told me it's because the owner sees you and they kind of tense up and the dog feels the tension on the leash.
Yeah, I've been told that and we talked about this on a previous episode, that very often any racism coming from the dog is a reflection of the person's subconscious.
Dogs be yapping at me.
Yeah, they're real in tune with our emotional states in a way that even we aren't fully in control of, and like can fully be like, oh, you don't like him? All right, cool. Yeah, I don't like him either. Fuck him.
Yeah, exactly that.
And then they make associations. They're like, he looks like the thing we don't like. So,
but people put that shit on dogs. I used to know this guy with this big scary pit bull.
Yeah.
Bad guy.
Yeah.
And he would always say that his pit bull would like disrespect the weakest person in the room. And it did it a lot, but I always kind of thought it was usually like the smallest person, or like if it was somebody's little brother there or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I was like, I think that you're just a bad guy and the dog's a bad guy.
Yeah, I think the dog's just bullying them the way that you instinctually want to bully them.
Right, but he would live by that shit. Oh yeah, the dog's name was Kalijah, which is a drug dealer dog's name. Like, where do you even get that?
That's cocaine and Elijah combined.
Yeah.
I gave you the name, man.
He was named after the income source I used to purchase him and my favorite character in the Bible.
I love the Lord and I love selling that white. What do you want from me?
Okay, but anyways, so this is great.
This is a really fascinating theory. So I think it's worth, and maybe, okay, this is what we should do. We should take a break. But when we come back, I actually think we should talk a little bit about the details of Betty and Barney Hill's abduction, because it might help us to remember exactly how our friend's theory might connect to everything that's happening. So we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more David, more Langston, more My Momma Told Me.
Would you say that you're racist?
Not at all. No.
Yeah.
Look at my dog. He's as black as can be.
And so is the dog of the Hill family. We are discussing their potential conspiracy abduction.
We should recap a little bit of what happened with Betty and Barney Hill.
Okay, yeah.
Betty and Barney Hill, a mixed race couple, interracial couple in 1961, goes for a drive back from Montreal and Niagara Falls into New Hampshire, where they see basically a UFO overhead or in the distance. You know more recently than I do.
Yeah, so they saw it. They were looking at it in their binoculars. They had to pull over to walk the dog. He had his pistol on him, so they went to go look at it. And then, from what I understand, they just sort of blacked out.
Right. They black out for like 3 hours. It's some long ass period of time where they completely black out and then wake up back at their homes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
or do they just wake up where they were on the road?
They woke up and kept driving.
Okay, so I think they woke up where they were on the road.
Yeah.
And
but they had some odd sensations when they woke up, impulses they couldn't explain. Betty insisted the luggage that she said that their luggage needed to be kept near the back door. That doesn't make sense. Their watches would never work again. Barney said the leather strap for the binoculars that he had was torn, though he could not recall it tearing. The toes of his best dress shoes were scraped. This is very important. Barney says he was compelled to examine his genitals in the bathroom, though he found nothing unusual.
My man had to check. He had
Yo,
to take
come
one
on.
quick look.
Make sure my dick's straight.
Come on.
you gotta reverse engineer this abduction.
Look. Yes. Were we abducted? Absolutely. Were some of our things permanently ruined? 100%. But are we okay?
Yes. Is my shit straight?
Is my pee-pee where it's supposed to be?
Also, probably a good way to get some sex you weren't going to get. Like, hey, we got to figure this out right now.
Maybe let's make sure my dick still works.
Yeah. Yeah, she said that her shoes were kind of her there was a pink zipper, or there was a pink powder on her dress, shiny concentric circles on their car's trunk that had not been there the previous day. When they put a compass next to the circles, when they moved it closer, the needle would whirl rapidly. And that's pretty much all.
That's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff.
And I will say, at the original sort of reading of a lot of what happened to them, I certainly and remain open to the possibility that aliens could have done something to them. I don't feel fully like, hell no, absolutely, there's no way that aliens were involved in this. That said, the introduction of this new conspiracy theory, none of the things you just listed feel out of the realm of possibility from like man fucking with them more than aliens fucking with them.
Right. Because I think it should be noticed that they seem to be somewhat of community leaders active in the NAACP. He was also a member of, he sat on a local board of the United States Commission on Civil Rights. So they were actively within that community.
And they're an interracial couple in 1961, which I think objectively sort of puts you in a position of civil rights activists on its own. You know what I mean?
Right,
like you are
just to live your life.
Motherfuckers do not like what you're doing and you're out driving around. Y'all are being crazy. You know what I mean? Like as far as your political stance being out loud kind of thing.
Right. And I think also it's worth noting that these were not crackpots. They seem to be pretty fairly upstanding members of their community. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when it's like, sometimes abduction stories are by kind of less than believable characters. Yeah. And this is like, these people seem to be pretty straightforward.
And here's what really sells it for me is that they're coming back from Canada when it happens, which means that if you are the government in 1961, what better way to track their movements than by them having to show identification over a border? You know what I mean? Like you can just wait for when they return and follow them and trick them. You know what I mean?
And
like
do whatever it was. Whereas like, I think
if they're more localized, it might even be harder to track their movements or to plan this sort of grand scale abduction. And boy, oh boy, I bet they stopped talking about like civil rights after they got abducted.
Right. They had bigger fish to fry.
I bet you ain't stressing about which table you get to sit at after you've been abducted. You're like, I'm not leaving the house ever again. I don't give a fuck if that's a whites only restaurant.
Exactly. Now we got to talk about these aliens. If anything, though, you would think it would unify them. They also have very specific accounts of what they saw.
Yeah, that is worth noting.
But what they saw also, to your point, doesn't seem like it was out of the realm of some man-made shit.
Which I think is the more important thing is like you fucking with somebody's compass and making it so their watch doesn't work anymore is like, that's some shit that like I believe a government building could figure out.
And I think it's what they're capable of figuring out. Because even when they saw the stuff they saw, said they were humanoid they were wearing what looked like shiny outfits with hats and shit. And it's like, that already to me, because one thing I think is like, aliens being humanoid, it doesn't even make that much sense. We're not even, our form, our bodies isn't even the best adapted to this planet.
No.
Let alone another one.
Yeah, and
you know what I'm saying? So for them to look like us feels already I've always felt that about, like, why would you assume they look like us? That doesn't make any sense.
And furthermore, even if they do look like us, they're not us in like size and scale and shit. Like the fact that you would be like, oh, it's kind of like, you look like a human with a hat on. It's like, well, then that's a government official, my man, and he's fucking with you. But
it's
that's
the feds.
They fed up. And
they're coming for you and your little black dog.
And your white wife if they have to. She wasn't part of the original plan, but yeah, we'll beat the shit out of her too.
Yeah, I think they tried to reprogram her and she was like, I'm not going back.
Me give up that sweet Barney Hill dick? No thanks. You can kill me now, Mr. Officer Man.
Especially because this shit still worked.
This Barney shit worked.
I mean, it's also like, but this would be like, what a great way for the government to discredit some seemingly fairly serious people, especially back then. Like that in the 60s.
Yeah.
You're a nut job. Nobody, you know what I mean? How would anybody take that seriously?
I do think that probably is the most frustrating thing that the government deals with now, is like they are probably better equipped for like practical effects. A generation that could be fooled by like some bright headlights and a man in a silver suit than they are for the generations that now exist, of people that are skeptical of literally everything, that deny even like our most legitimate videos and claims and everything. They can't manipulate us the same way that they used to. And so that's where they're failing, where they're like, we don't understand how to be the government anymore.
Exactly. Like now somebody would call it off as what's the term, a psyop or whatever. Somebody would call that out immediately. Back then it was like, no, these are crazy people.
Yeah, no, you would just believe it and tell your entire community that this is what happened to you.
Yeah, and then I would tell my daughter, you see what happens?
Yeah, but it's fun.
Betty dated one. What happened to her? You remember your cousin Betty? Yeah, she liked dating black guys too. It was all fun and games at the jazz concert.
And now what they call her, Bananas Betty. That's right. It works in two ways, you see.
Yeah.
Because she's crazy and she likes monkeys.
So with all that being said, I think this is a reasonable idea.
I do. I think this feels very reasonable. I do think more than ever before, I now at least feel, and this also explains why fuck with Barney and Betty Hill. Do you know what I mean? Like they're like these sort of nobody people in the middle of nowhere. Why do they become the target of the thing? And it's like, oh, because they represent a type of change at this era that like we can fix quickly with just a little bit of, technology.
And not to be like reductive of them and the lives they led or whatever, but it does feel like that was the major thing about them. You know what I mean? That was the thing to discredit. They seem to be otherwise than that pretty normal people.
Yeah, you're just fine folks. But we can make you feel uncertain moving forward, and maybe we can shut down a local chapter or two of some shit we don't like.
Right. It starts local, guys. It's not just voting. It's also dismantling racial progress.
Dismantling leadership, yeah.
yeah. It all starts in your neighborhood, you know what I mean?
Go throw soup at your local politicians as much as your most national ones.
Truly. But yeah, so I like this. Thank you, white man, that I previously didn't like.
Chris, I think this was a fine conspiracy theory, and you have my support, and I'm happy to spread this one. You've got the My Momma Told Me salute on this one. We really appreciate it.
We need some kind of a stamp of approval.
Yeah.
Or like some kind of a T-shirt to send people. Like, my mama told me, believes me.
Or your mama was right.
Yeah. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean, you pay for it, but we will offer it.
It's like smash or pass for your mama, but smash on this one.
Do you ever watch those videos? I mean, maybe that's a whole other day.
Smash or pass?
Yeah.
Is that the balloons? I see a lot of the balloons now. Are you seeing those?
No, I'm talking about the one where it'll just be like, sometimes it's like a rapper and then all these girls come up to him, or just like a girl and she goes down the line.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah, it's similar. So
why would you put yourself through that? I don't know why the funny looking dudes do it. What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, it's pretty insane. The balloons.
You don't have a neck.
That's the balloons one that I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
So the smash or pass, I feel like started with when they were like, we gonna get Quavo, we gonna get NBA Youngboy, we gonna get like cool fucking people. And then now it's devolved into people making these weird dating game shows where they hand a bunch of like single people balloons that they like pop as soon as they don't want to fuck the person standing in front of them. Right. And there's just all these viral videos of like ghouls, literal like ghouls being rejected by like rows of beautiful women. And it's like, well, come on, man, don't go on the show.
Isn't it funny how advanced we get socially and shit? Our entertainment still ends up just evolving into freak shows.
It's just, it's the only thing we want.
It's just, look at that weird one. Look at that one that looks different than all the other ones.
I just want to see how he's going to get out of this pickle.
Yeah, he can talk or whatever.
Yeah, I want to see what happens with him.
Yeah, I want to see him get rejected by the hot one.
It's poison. It's truly one of the most poisonous things I've come across on the internet, and I get so many of those videos now.
Me too. I never get the positive ones. Like, you remember that video that was just like, you would get it in your DMs and it was like, hey, black man, somebody said this to you because they believe in you.
Yeah.
That trend lasted 2 days. I didn't send it forward. I did not.
Of course not. And George Floyd had to die in front of all of us for us to even do that for each other. You know what I mean? Yeah, like we had to literally watch this man be sacrificed for us to be like, black man, I don't want you dead.
Yeah. And I did not watch the whole video.
No, I'm not watching that shit.
You know what I watched the whole video of? That dude with no neck being mad at that hot lady. I watched it a couple times.
Yeah, it's bad, man. It's fucking bad. Anyway, Chris, you're not bad. And maybe that's okay. Maybe you're all that matters here. White devil Chris. We did it. Do you want to tell the people where they can find you and what cool shit you have going on?
Cool Guy Jokes 87 on Instagram. Patreon.com/David Borey I'm putting up a lot of fun interviews, a lot of behind the scenes type content on the lead up to my special Birth of a Nation. Come on the Patreon. All kinds of great people that we interviewed. Some previous My Momma Told Me guests. We interviewed Langston. He did a great one. We interviewed Olivia. She did a great one. We interviewed Jordan Temple. Had a surprise ending. You go. And the special's going to be hilarious. It's going to be very funny.
Surprise ending's terrifying for Jordan. What do you do?
I'll tell you afterwards. I don't want to spoil.
All right. As always, you can follow me at Langston Kerman on all social media platforms. And August 20th, go to Netflix, watch my special, Bad Poetry. And if you want to send us your own drops, your own conspiracy theories, you can send it all to mymommapod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Buy the merch, like, subscribe, rate, review, rebate. Do it all and believe in yourselves. We love you and we hate you at the same goddamn time. Bye, bitch.
I can go anywhere.
Suck my dick.
Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode.